Glide bait fishing is one of my favorite ways to fish. I love to throw a swim bait. I've had some really crazy experiences. I've caught some really good fish on them. I've had crazy follows. I've had it show me a lot about where fish get. Even if you can't get a fish to bite it, it's so good at getting fish to show themselves. But I thought it would be interesting to take a look at them underwater, and specifically, we're going to look at some different ones that are popular and that have a lot of different unique characteristics. This is a Deps 175. Of course, there's a Deps 250, maybe the most well-known glide bait of all time. You can look at them underwater and see that they've got, on a slow, steady retrieve, great swimming action. You don't have to do a lot with the baits. You can just take them out, throw them, and wind them in and catch fish with them. So, I mean, you can obviously impart action with quarter turns and rod tips, but just on a slow, steady retrieve, this is a tremendous bait. Then I want to also look at the bull shad. You can be a lot more erratic with it. We'll take a look at it underwater and see how working it fast, working it more erratic, working it a lot more with your rod and your reel, how you can get real erratic action, a wide action out of this bait, as opposed to some of the other glide baits. Then we're going to take a look at the Storm Marashi, relatively new, just came out this year for 2020. Pros have been throwing this on the tournament circuit, catching some key fish to do well and win tournaments, catch big, you know, it's caught several 10-pounders for guys like Carl Jocumson, Brandon Palaniuk, so I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at this bait underwater as well. And then this is the Savage Gear, the Shine Glider, comes in several different sizes, but you know, if you're just wanting to get into glide bait fishing, this is a tremendous bait. It swims well, and you can work it with the rod, you can steady retrieve it, has a good swim to it, and it's extremely affordable. So if this will get more people into throwing glide baits, man, then I'm all for it. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at a handful of baits. You can take a look at these 4 baits underwater and let you kind of see that they don't all swim the same. You can do different things with the different baits and get you a handful of them that you have some confidence in. You know, like I say, steady retrieves what I like to do a lot with the Deps, whereas I might, when I'm wanting to be a lot more erratic, a lot more fast, you know, I'm gonna reach for the bull glide. So that's why I carry a handful of them, but I thought it'd be great to take a look at them underwater. Deps 250, Deps 175. You look at it underwater, just slow and steady, has a great lumbering back and forth action. You don't have to be able to do a lot with the rod or reel. You can just steady retrieve it and that bait's gonna kick, 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 kick. It's got just a nice swim to it. Butch Brown is famous. He takes his and tweaks his, you know, that you can actually have him tweak these Deps 250 baits for you to get an actual different action, a different swim out of them. And that's something you can get just playing with the baits and getting more familiar with them. But I mean, just out of the package, tie it on, slow, steady retrieve. It has a good swim and it's a fish catcher. Bull glide, fairly new glide bait. I love the shape of it, the profile of it, the weight of it. It's big enough to draw big bites, but it's not so big that you've got to have just a ridiculous rod to fish it. But in the water, what I like about it is you can work this bait on a really fast retrieve. You can work it with a lot of hard, sharp quarter turns of the reel, you know, pops of the rod, throw slack in it, let it glide off. You can make this bait be extremely erratic, and you can do that with most glide baits. But this is the one that I reach for when I think that I want a lot of really erratic action. Maybe I want to work it real hard and kill it, work it real hard and kill it. I can fish this fast. You can fish it up on the surface, just real hard reel, and it's actually got a really good swim just on a really fast retrieve. I mean, Buka put a lot of work into where you can change the weights in that front cavity there, in the front joint. And that's one thing that, you know, you can get this bait if you want it to go a little deeper, you can add a little weight in there. If you want it to suspend more, you know, you can take some of that weight out. That's one nice thing that glide bait makers are starting to do. They're starting to make them where you can do some things to the bait to actually make its behavior change. But this one out of the box, I like it for a really erratic retrieve. Either real fast, straight reeling, or working it real hard and erratic with the rod or the quarter turns of the reel. Storm Marashi glide. Underwater, the bait looks good on a steady retrieve. I've been working it more with a lot of quarter turns of the reel, get it to dip, dart, dip, dart. Good swimming action, good on a steady retrieve, good worked with the reel, worked with the rod. Kind of what I would consider a medium swim, whereas, maybe a bull shad has a big, you can do a lot more wider action with it. Deps, you can have a lot tighter or wider action with it, but usually I'm gonna do that slow, just steady lumber with the Deps. I kind of consider this to be more of an in-between bait. Little bit wider swim, but not quite as wide and erratic as what I get with the bull glide. So again, that's why I have 3 or 4. Looking at it underwater, this is one that I like just kind of for that middle swim, either on a steady retrieve or just some, easy quarter turns of the reel. That's a good bait for people to start with for glide bait fishing. You'll see here with the Savage Gear Shine Glider 185, good swimming bait, swims good on a steady retrieve, but it also swims really good, using quarter turns or a little bit of a rod movement to get the bait to kick out a little wider and glide and pause and do a lot with that. So I think it's a great starter bait. I mean, this 185 size is bigger than a big top water or a big crankbait, but it's smaller than a lot of the glides on the market. So I think for getting people to kind of get into glide bait fishing, learning to do the quarter turns with their reel and things like that, this is a great middle of the road glide bait.